Once upon a time in a small town where neighbors knew each other's dreams and hardships, there lived two souls intertwined by fate, Kuni and Simei. Growing up side by side as childhood sweethearts, their bond was forged in shared laughter, whispered secrets beneath ancient trees, and promises made on warm, starlit nights. At the tender age of 18, they married, convinced that love and loyalty would see them through every trial life had in store. In those early, hopeful days, every moment felt like a celebration of togetherness. They would stroll along winding country lanes, hand in hand, dreaming of a future filled with prosperity and joy. Their modest home, filled with the comforting aroma of freshly baked bread and the gentle hum of hope, was a sanctuary built on the promise of forever. Kuni, with his earnest eyes and gentle smile, vowed to overcome any obstacle for the sake of their shared dreams, while Simei, with her unwavering devotion, believed that every hardship was merely a stepping stone toward a brighter tomorrow. But life, as it often does, began to test the strength of their union. When an unexpected economic downturn struck their town, Kuni lost the steady job that had once provided security for their humble life. For 5 long years, the couple's existence was marked by financial uncertainty. They lived from hand to mouth. Yet, even as despair lurked around every corner, Simei's resolve never faltered. Rising before dawn, she would prepare simple meals to sell by the roadside and take on every cleaning job available, sacrificing personal comfort for the sake of survival. Simei's quiet sacrifices, though painful, were acts of love, each small victory a testament to her belief that they would someday rise again. In the midst of relentless struggle, Kuni's determination spurred him to take a daring step. He started a small business. At first, success was tentative, a modest contract here, a word of praise there. Gradually, however, his perseverance began to pay off. Money started to flow in, and local admiration grew for the man who had dared to dream despite overwhelming odds. Neighbors began to speak of Kuni with newfound respect, and the community's faith in him was renewed. Yet, as his fortunes improved, a subtle transformation took hold. The humility that had once defined him gave way to a creeping pride, and the values he once held dear began to blur under the weight of success. It was during this period of change that Talani entered Kuni's life like a sudden summer storm. Young, radiant, and irresistibly charming, Talani possessed an allure that was both magnetic and dangerous. With her long, fluttering lashes and a smile that promised excitement and youth, she awakened in Kuni a desire to recapture a sense of vitality. Her compliments and flirtatious words were like sweet music to his ears, stirring feelings he had long suppressed. Before long, clandestine meetings replaced honest conversations, and Kuni found himself straying further from the path he had once vowed to follow. At home, Simei began to notice the subtle shifts: a late-night phone call, an unfamiliar perfume lingering in the air, receipts for extravagant purchases that made no sense given their modest means. The once unbreakable trust between the couple wavered as suspicion slowly crept into Simei's heart. Initially, she clung to hope, questioning whether these were mere misunderstandings. But as evidence accumulated, a series of unexplained bank transactions to an account under the name Talani George, and erratic behavior that could no longer be dismissed, her heart ached with the painful sting of betrayal. Instead of erupting in anger, Simei resolved to reclaim her dignity through careful deliberation. She began scrutinizing every detail of their shared life, from financial records to the whispered excuses that Kuni offered for his long absences. The deeper she delved, the clearer it became that her sacrifices, her unwavering love, had been met with deceit. Simei, though shattered, refused to be broken. Determined to protect the legacy she had helped build, both at home and in the business they had nurtured together, she gathered irrefutable evidence of misappropriated funds, forged signatures, and secret deals that betrayed the very foundation of their shared dream. Armed with this proof and bolstered by her ownership of a 60% stake in the company, Simei summoned the courage to confront the man who had once been her partner in every sense. In a board meeting filled with tense silence and piercing gazes, she laid bare every betrayal and every stolen moment of trust. The evidence was undeniable, and as Kuni stood before the assembled board, his once confident posture crumbled. In that charged moment, the man who had built a semblance of respect through sheer grit was stripped of his authority. His role as CEO was abruptly terminated, and the control of the company returned to the hands of the woman who had borne the weight of every hardship. With his professional life in ruins, Kuni's personal downfall was swift and merciless. The same Tolani who had once ignited a flame of desire now treated him with disdain, relegating him to the background of a home that had transformed into a battleground of unspoken resentments. Every day, the echoes of his past mistakes reverberated through the walls of the house. What had once been a sanctuary of love was now a stark reminder of his failures, each corner bearing witness to a dream that had slowly crumbled into dust. Then came the night that would redefine everything. A bitter wind swept through the town as a stray spark, born from a moment of distracted care, ignited a small flame in their living room. In moments, the fire roared to life, consuming the remnants of memories and dreams with relentless fury. Panic gripped the household as smoke filled every room and the heat grew unbearable. Amid the chaos, Kuni's ears caught the faint, desperate cry of Simei, a sound that pierced the roar of the flames and stirred every ounce of remorse within him. Without a moment's hesitation, Kuni abandoned any lingering pride and rushed into the inferno. Through choking smoke and searing heat, he fought his way through the blaze toward the kitchen where Simei lay injured and barely conscious. The scene was a maelstrom of terror and determination, a man fighting not only for redemption but for the very life of the woman he had once cherished above all else. Neighbors, alerted by the commotion, rushed to help, and soon firefighters battled the relentless flames. With every labored step, Kuni clutched Simei close, carrying her from the clutches of the burning home. Outside, the cool night air was a stark contrast to the relentless heat, and as the fire was finally subdued, the true cost of betrayal and pride became heartbreakingly clear. In the sterile quiet of the hospital, amidst the low hum of machines and hushed voices of doctors, Simei fought for her life. Her body bore the scars of the fire, and her spirit, though wounded, clung to a fragile hope. Kuni, a broken man overcome with remorse, paced the narrow corridors, his every step echoing with regret and longing for forgiveness. It was in this vulnerable moment that Simei's father, a stern, weathered man whose eyes had witnessed decades of sacrifice, approached Kuni. With measured words that carried both disappointment and a hint of hope, he reminded Kuni of every broken promise and every stolen trust. Despite the weight of his mistakes, Kuni's whispered apologies, laden with regret, fell on ears that had long grown weary of empty promises. Yet, even in the midst of profound sorrow, Simei's voice emerged softly, laden with both pain and an almost imperceptible hope. "Perhaps," she murmured, "there is a way for us to find each other again." Those words, though fragile, sparked a glimmer of possibility in Kuni's heart, a possibility that redemption might be found in the quiet acts of daily penance. Over the ensuing days, as Simei lay recovering in her hospital bed, Kuni devoted himself entirely to mending what had been shattered. He embraced every humble task, scrubbing floors, preparing simple meals, and tending to every minor chore, as if each act were an offering to rebuild the trust he had so callously broken. Slowly, in the space between whispered apologies and tentative conversations, a fragile rhythm began to re-emerge in their lives. Simei, though scarred by betrayal and fire, found strength in remembering the man she had once loved, the man who had once promised to stand by her through every storm. Together, amid the quiet clatter of daily life, they began to share small moments of tenderness, a hand reaching out for another, a look that spoke of sorrow yet hinted at forgiveness, and a silence that, while heavy with past regrets, also carried the promise of renewal. As weeks turned into months, the scars of their shared past became less a mark of defeat and more a reminder of the strength it took to endure. Kuni's transformation was gradual and painful. His pride had been replaced by a humble resolve to atone for every misstep. Simei, ever patient, slowly allowed her guarded heart to open once more to the possibility of love rekindled, not as it was before, but as something matured through hardship and the bitter lessons of betrayal. On quiet afternoons, when the world outside seemed to pause in gentle stillness, Kuni and Simei would sit together on their worn porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon. In those moments, as the sky blazed with the colors of dusk, they would share memories of their happier days and speak softly of dreams for a future rebuilt on mutual respect and understanding. Each shared smile, each small act of kindness, was a silent promise that despite the shadows of the past, there remained the potential for a new beginning, a beginning built not on youthful promises alone but on the hard-earned lessons of pain, sacrifice, and ultimately, forgiveness. And so, beneath a starlit sky where every twinkling light seemed to echo the resilience of the human heart, Kuni and Simei embarked on a slow, uncertain journey toward redemption. Their home, once a stage for betrayal and heartbreak, gradually filled with the quiet rhythms of everyday life. Simple meals prepared with care, gentle laughter emerging in unexpected moments, and the steady rebuilding of trust with every passing day. In the end, their story became not just a chronicle of betrayal and loss, but a testament to the enduring power of love, reminding all who heard it that even in the deepest darkness, the light of forgiveness can spark a new dawn.